Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm Ben, and today we're going to take the Rattan Sequoia out for a nice long ride on a variety of terrains. We'll test out the 750 watt motor and the torque sensor. We'll hit some bumps and some jumps to see how the suspension handles it. And we've got 40 amp hours of capacity to drain, so we'll be taking the long way, full throttle as much as we can. Hopefully make it home before those batteries run dry. At the end, I'll tell you whether or not I think this is a bike worth buying. First, let's see what it all comes with. Well, it certainly seems like a pretty serious off-road e-mountain bike. We've got some really nice components on here. We'll start with the 26x4 knobby Kenda tires. Should provide a lot of traction. And to help keep traction, we've got some suspension up front that is adjustable. We've got a compression damping with a couple clicks on the right. We can also just lock it all the way out if we want to put some real power down when pedaling. On the other side here, we've got an adjustable preload to preload the spring that's in there for a little bit extra weight carrying capacity up front. No suspension in the rear, but it looks like we've got a pretty solidly built frame here. All the welds look pretty darn nice. Decent sized chain ring with metal protection on both sides. Sunrace M40 derailleur and a 8-speed Shimano Hyperglide cassette. Shimano 8-speed shifter up front. Fast Ace Performance hydraulic brakes, 180mm slotted rotors. Rear caliper is hidden inside of the frame, which will be nice for off-road riding. And we've got our model number on the 750 watt nominal 1200 peak motor. Full leather ergonomic lock-on grips, thumb throttle on the left, as well as the control pad. Threaded holes on the steering neck for attachments. We've also got a few more here that I will be bolting the second battery to. I'm 5'10" with a 31-inch inseam, and I weigh about 155 pounds. I will drop the seat all the way down to the lowest setting here and throw a leg over the bike. Definitely easy enough for me to get my feet to the ground. Pedal stroke, I think, might be a little bit tight, but would, of course, work. We've got quite a bit of length there. If you need a higher seat, I think we'll stick somewhere around there. Might even go a little bit lower than that, but that should give me more than enough pedal stroke. Feels pretty comfy. So on pedal assist 5, let's see what this thing's got. Yeah, power comes on a little slow. Does seem to hit when it comes on, though. Oh, yeah. Gets going once it hits. With the bench testing complete, we can pull the main battery out here and take a look. It's a 20 amp hour battery with Samsung cells. The charger that they send is a awesome 4.5 amp hour output charger. Definitely going to charge this battery up quick. Now we just got to wait for the second one to arrive. So we've got the second battery and all the components ready to be installed, all charged up and everything. So we'll get that unplugged. We do get a separate set of keys, and we'll need those to get the tray off the bottom side. Slide that down out of the way. Get that electrical tape unwrapped. That's the one that we want to unplug. And we'll take the fused leg, and you can tell it's fused because there's a little automotive fuse inside of the shrink wrap here. This will get plugged in here, and then I will take one of these plugs. It doesn't matter since they're essentially going to the same exact terminal inside of here, and we'll plug one of them into the original battery. Then I've just got to fish this end down through there, catch it while it's dropping. Then it's just a matter of taking that plug and the last empty plug that we've got here from the equalizer. I'm just going to rewrap all of these connections. That gasket and the cover lined up. I'm going to pull these little clear strips off of what I think is just supposed to be some sort of double-sided adhesive. Also put just a little bit of blue thread locker on all of the fasteners that are going to go in here. So much like the battery that's hidden within the frame, the secondary battery here is also a 20 amp hour battery. So that means we're going to have a total of 40 amp hours. All of the cells are Samsung cells, which is definitely a positive. So that just slides into place. Lock it down. That is a hefty battery to just be hanging out in the open like that, but it does seem like it'll hang on just fine. As long as I don't kick it off when I'm putting my foot over the step-through frame. That's not really step through so much anymore. So with both batteries installed totaling 40 amp hours of capacity, we should be able to get up to 150 miles of range. Of course, that's on a flat surface with very little stopping and starting, and I would assume a lot of heavy pedaling. Where on today's ride, we're gonna see how awful of a range that I can get out of this thing, meaning I'm gonna be doing a lot of throttle work, and we'll be taking this thing on some pretty insane single track, which is obviously much more of a drain on a battery than just straight cruising on a flat surface. So let's gear up and hit the trails and the road on this thing and see what we can get out of it. What a beautiful day for a ride. It's gonna get hot though, so I better get this over with before we hit 80. So I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see this very well. I certainly cannot with my polarized glasses, which is a little bit disappointing, especially since this is a nice display. We've got about 5.2 miles on so far. We're doing the long route since we've got dual batteries. I've got this one turned on and the one inside of the frame is turned off. So that means when I switch from this one to this one, about the time we go off-road, I'll have full power again. We're down to 74%. We'll start off in gear 1 on the Shimano 8-speed. We're on pedal assist level 5. So first definitely is low, and it really, I mean, as soon as I push on those pedals, it kicks in. Gear 1, no problem. I'm putting in very little effort, but of course the higher we go up in gears, the more effort I'm gonna have to put in, and the less the bike is gonna put in. It seems like this bike is geared, as in designed, towards actually feeling a lot more like a bike, which most bikes with the cadence sensors are not really geared towards that. And if it has a torque sensor like this one does, I mean, it's made to give you that feeling. So we're all the way in gear 8 now, and I mean, I definitely have to put in some effort in this gear. If you don't like that, of course, we can drop that down. I really do appreciate these torque sensors. They're really, really intuitive once you kind of get a feel for them. It feels much more, like I said, like riding a bicycle rather than a bicycle with an electric motor on it. So if that's the experience you're looking for, I would definitely recommend a torque sensor. How about a 0 to top speed with the pedals? Let's see what we can do. Go. So yeah, it definitely feels about like a mountain bike would. Certainly not explosive power like a motorcycle or an electric motorcycle or anything like that. Again, definitely feels like I'm out here for exercise, not really for a pleasure cruise or anything like that. I mean, obviously we've got the throttle, which will be nice on the way home. If we back off a little, yeah, it definitely slows down. Seems like it'll run you right up to about 25 with the pedals, at least with 74%. And then if we hit the throttle, will it override that? Oh yeah, it will. Pretty flat. Maybe lost a little top speed with the lower battery. But yeah, I mean, almost 32. It'd be nice if it would get you to 32 with the pedals, but honestly, it's not really too big of a deal. It really, I mean, it feels good to pedal at this speed. I mean, obviously you guys can see the speed that I'm pedaling at. I mean, this feels good, really. And I mean, I could even go down a gear, which is sort of different from a lot of the other bikes that I've tested, where if you want to run at top speed or close to top speed, you're pretty much ghost pedaling and not really doing a whole lot of meaningful pedaling, which means you don't get the energy savings and you don't get the exercise. Dropping percentage quick, down to 71. Although I guess if I wasn't running this at top speed all the time, maybe that would be a little bit better. But yeah, go up a hill a little bit, drop a few gears, and then you're putting a little bit more effort on the pedals. The torque sensor picks that up and helps you speed up. Definitely liking the torque sensor. Definitely feels like a pretty well balanced bike, and of course I wouldn't recommend riding around with no hands unless that's something you're used to doing, but it certainly does feel balanced enough to do this quite easily. Gear this down a few and try out some bumpy gravel. Definitely feels pretty planted. Oh yeah, definitely feels firm. Do I have that front locked out? It's all the way open. Oh yeah, there's some cushion. Oh yeah, heats that all up real nice. Ooh, jumps nice. A little heavy to bunny hop, but it works. So what are we at here? 10 miles, 62%, and I have been on sport mode this whole time, and if you want to toggle quickly to something else, just holding the I button down will switch it. So that's eco, normal, and back to sport. Of course, if we wanted to conserve power, we should be on eco or normal, but that's not what we're out here to do. Let's do a 0 to top speed with the main battery here. So that didn't update. Oh, maybe I gotta turn it off. 100%. Look at that. That is pretty cool. So we are now not looking at this battery at all. It's just the one on the inside of the frame. Let's do a 0 to whatever top speed is going to be now, and then we'll hammer on the brakes and see how those work. Ready, go. Let's try that again. Ready, go. It's definitely a slow takeoff for sure. So no pedaling. I think this might be a little slow. 22, 23, 26, 27, 28, 29. Uh-oh, running out of runway. 31. Ooh, yeah. Seems like a plenty powerful bike. Obviously not explosive power. The brakes are a little bit noisy, but not really bedded in yet, and totally bring this 77-pound bike to a stop, no problem. Yeah, it doesn't really have the torque to keep a wheelie up, at least not at a speed that I'm comfortable at riding a wheelie on. Easy enough to get the front end up over an obstacle though. Just gotta bounce it a little bit. Really feels good on the 2-track here. How about a turning radius test? Should be no problem. Whoops, yeah, if I could only keep myself balanced, no problem at all. Let's see how this thing does off-road, eh? Whoa, what was that? I have run into that where I think if you come down and the back wheel's spinning on some of these, there's like a release so you don't chew up the geared hub motor in the back, which I think is, I guess, a nice feature. It always scares me when it happens, but it seems like that is indeed what's supposed to happen, and it's just a fail-safe. I would assume, being as off-road oriented as this thing is, it should be able to handle everything I'm going to throw at it today, but I guess we'll find out. Hopefully we don't end up pedaling back. Woo! I will say I would appreciate some more rubbery, sticky grips as opposed to the faux leather ones. I mean, they're okay, but especially with gloves, they can be a little bit slippery. about the big rocks. Yeah, that's all right. So how does she handle off-road in the twisties? Solid. I like it. Whoa! Not that much though. Yeah, definitely could use just a little bit more wallop when you hit the throttle, and we're down to 85% power already on the secondary battery. Oh, sure doesn't like to come down when the rear is engaged. I mean, I guess that's again a good failsafe, but it's a bit of a scary noise. Certainly can feel the weight of the bike, especially with that extra battery on there, but it's certainly not bad. Not super light, of course, either, but it works. Mosquitoes in my helmet. This thing's coming off. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do some pedaling. So, why not put this back here? Hopefully it stays there better. Whew, I'm certainly happy to have the openings in this helmet for the air today, but not so much for the bugs. Could do without that. Alright, let's find a gear here. Why are we not getting any pedal assistance? What's going on, bike? You upset about something? Boy, there are a million mosquitoes out here. Alright, pedal assist 5. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I wonder if the jolting reset something, because I don't think I was getting any power from the pedals there, so. And to reset it, oh, now we got 91% power. So, definitely, whew, seems like it works. You gotta remember that I want to do a little bit of pedaling and then stop when there's an obstacle. Otherwise, I'm gonna drag my pedals. That certainly makes jumps better because they're not spinning the tire so much with the motor when I go off the jumps. When I come down, I shouldn't be pounding those gears. Yeah, I mean, again, definitely feels like a mountain bike. Definitely feels like I'm going to get some exercise and help the battery out. But yet, on that lowest gear, more than enough power from the motor to help me get up the hill without putting too much effort in, and certainly would not be that way if I was on my regular mountain bike. Oh yeah, much better when you pedal. That's what you want to be doing. I do have to say though, I think if I was getting this amount of help on pedal assist 1, I'd probably be happy. Meaning that I wish I could bump up the help a little bit more even. Woo. Because I certainly do not have mountain bike legs. I got dual sport motorcycle legs, which only get you so far when you got to pedal and keep yourself up. But if that's what you're looking for, I would say this is a darn good bike for emulating a mountain bike. Of course, not a $5,000 Yamaha or Trek bike, but still, for the cost, and especially for the cost difference, how can you complain? I guess you can complain about the noisy brakes. Yeah, front and back are doing it a bit. Some of them will quiet down after a while, but I've also had some that I've kept a little longer that still just kind of always make noise even if they are broken. These at least seem like they're quiet when you're moving. Obviously, again, if you're, whoa, they work pretty well. If you're not spending thousands and thousands on one of these, you gotta assume that there are gonna be some things that maybe aren't absolutely ideal, but so far, for the price anyways, I'm more than impressed. Tires seem to grip good, which I would have guessed. Yeah, definitely easy enough to bounce that front up. Oh, I bet that camera's all full of water now, isn't it? Mosquitoes in my nose, mosquitoes in my helmet, mosquitoes everywhere. So standing up this bike definitely feels good. It certainly is kind of throwing me off a little bit that it is a little bit bigger and kind of a longer wheelbase than the 20 by 4 inch tires and rims that I've been used to testing. And maybe that is a little bit of the, look at all those flowers, that's cool. Maybe it's a little bit of the second 20 amp hour battery so high up, that could certainly be kind of tossing the bike side to side a little more and making it feel a little bit less connected to the trail, just because center of gravity is a little bit higher. Just makes it sort of feel heavier on top. Working hard. Oh yeah, that feels really nice. Tires definitely seem to grab well. Brakes work really pretty good with just one finger. And of course, anytime I grab those even just a little bit, that is stopping the motor. Yeah, summer is just in full bloom here. Beautiful day for a ride. Thanks for coming along with me on the ride. I definitely appreciate it when you guys do. It really does help, as does when you hit the like button and leave a comment, that sort of thing. And if you do decide to purchase one of these when you're watching, I definitely appreciate it if you guys use the affiliate links and the discount codes down in the description. So that's what helps me continue to make these videos like this for you. Sure do love getting out here and testing these things. It's always a blast, and this one is definitely, I think, one of the better ones for this. I'm a little bit, I don't know, weirded out by the fact that the motor safety is kicked out on me twice, but again, that might actually be a good thing because it's saving me from doing something silly. Oh no, flooding and washouts at multiple locations, no way through. Alright, well, I guess we're not going to do my hill climb. Oh, wait a minute, I know where there's a hill we can climb. A little bit steeper than the usual one, but let's see what it'll do. So for reference, this is a very, very, very steep hill. A little hard to walk on, but doable. Certainly a challenge for any bike. Oh yeah, she'll make it. Definitely helping me. No way I could do that on my own. But certainly does take a little bit of effort from me. The lack of fenders definitely is making a very evident mess. Usually when I have a bike with fenders, I'm always disappointed at how much of a mess it still makes of me and the bike, but today I'm much more messy, I think, than usual. I think there are places to mount fenders on this if you really wanted to get some, but whoa, what's going on with the camera? It definitely doesn't rocket up those hills when you rely on the throttle, but it sure does seem to have just enough. And honestly, I would kind of say that that's just how the throttle is. It is just enough. I mean, it certainly, I've been on bikes that are snappier, and that's kind of fun. But I mean, and as far as riding on trails like this and stuff, I mean, you don't really want it to go 0 to top speed as soon as you get to the bottom of the throttle stroke. It can definitely be fun, but as far as actual usable power, I mean, it's not really what you want. But I think I could use a little bit more power. Oop, oh, there it is again. Taking the long way back here on the trail. Still doing good on battery, 73%. And looks like 14 miles. And keep in mind, that is just the one battery. Still got a whole nother one to drain. Whoa! Well, not a whole nother one. 3/4 another one. I suppose I never mentioned too much about it to begin with, but this bike really does feel like it fits my 5'10" frame with a 31-inch inseam really pretty darn well. I think the seat I do have kind of scooted forward a bit, so I'm a little bit closer to the bars, but sitting down really feels good. The handlebars feel like a good distance away. They feel like a good width, a good bend. As much as I would rather have a little bit stickier grips, with the ergonomic paddle on the end, it definitely feels good. Yeah, so I'm not rocketing up those hills, but I'm not stuck at the bottom for sure either. The brakes quiet down? Front's a little noisy, but the back one actually did quiet down a bit, didn't it? Standing up on this thing definitely feels really good. Again, the location of the pedals in comparison to the bars as far as height and distance front to back all fit me really well and feel darn good. It's easy to stand, easy to work the throttle while standing. Honestly, pedals pretty darn good while standing too. I'm liking this thing. The seat, I've got to say, I was kind of skeptical about, because it certainly is a little bit small and definitely kind of firm, but really, again, on a mountain bike, that is what you want. And I've got to say, I don't really mind sitting on it. Obviously, I've been up on the pegs a lot now, but when we were out on the road, and even the bit that I have sat down here, squirrel, it's felt good. Whoop, yep, there's the back again. I guess maybe I should hit the brake in the air, huh? Probably be the thing to do, wouldn't it? I'm supposed to ride down that? I don't think so. All right, well, let's get some air. Little tabletop, no problem. Big one. Whoa! Almost a problem. Yikes. Yeah, this thing will get you up in there, no problem. And it seems like grabbing that rear brake, or just tapping that rear brake, keeps the motor from being upset with me. So that's a good thing. What are we at here? 70% on the second battery, 15.9 miles, minus the 1.1 that it started off with. A lot of that was running near top speed on the road, and I guess I did do a little bit more pedaling than usual, but even still, in this type of terrain, I'm pretty impressed with that. And I kind of wonder if the sort of slow-ish start, or I guess mountain bike, pedal bike speed start that I've been kind of complaining about, I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that we are conserving a bit more power. Because obviously if you're really working that motor to get going every single time, and especially on terrain like this, and me starting and stopping to film and stuff, I mean, it's, woo, you guys are going for a ride up there, huh? It's definitely going to drain a battery much quicker if the controller's really sending it a lot of power every time, where if it's kind of a slow roll on like this, obviously it seems like that is conserving power. What happens if we shut this off? Where is this one at? We'll turn that on. So now they should both be on, I believe. 83%. 16, yeah, so 15.5 miles. Oh, I'm gonna have a lot of riding to do if I ever want to drain this thing. Boy, this might be the first one where it would actually get close to hitting the numbers that they call out. I guess, yeah, it's at 150 miles. I mean, I don't know what I'm thinking. I've got 40 amp hours of battery life, meaning if the controller could send 40 amps to the motor, you could run this thing for an hour at 40 amps, which is ridiculous. I mean, I think most of the time I see it max out at like 14 or 15, maybe 16. In other words, if you're running this at 5 or so amps, obviously you can see, whoa, how the math there would definitely work out in your favor if you want to do a nice long ride. This thing is actually fairly nimble. Like I said, it took me a little bit of getting used to in comparison to the other bikes that I've ridden, but it does work pretty well. Oh, now I'm dizzy. Having a little melty lunch here on the side of the trail, side of the road. Well, how am I going to eat this? Well, that I suppose. It really is just a cool looking bike, and I'm definitely happy to have the ability to slap this extra 20 amp hour battery on it to double the capacity and the range. But it certainly does sort of take away from the aesthetic a bit. But if you're going to have an extra 20 amp hours worth of juice, it's got to go somewhere. And I mean, while there isn't really a great way to step through so much anymore, I mean, I don't really care without a rack on the back, and being that this is a mountain bike, I don't really think it's a big deal. Pretty small peanuts in comparison to all the stuff that I really like about this bike. I mean, I don't know, it just seems just about perfect for me. Just a little bit snappier takeoff would be great, but I don't really think you need it, honestly. So 15.7 miles. And we've got 85% power left with both batteries. And I highly recommend a mirror on a bike, any bike. I've been hit on a motorcycle in the past and can tell you that from first-hand experience, drivers are not going to be looking out for you. If they don't see you on a motorcycle, you're not going to see you on a much smaller, quieter bike. I can put a link for a decent set of these in the description. I have a kind of a cheaper set that seems to fall apart that I run on these test bikes, but the better set that I've got on my bike that I pull my kids around with and just leave on there, that one definitely seems to be much better. You're just gonna hang out there, Bambi? Oh, you're not Bambi, you're a buck, I think. Let's see how she cruises on the way back and what we can drain her down to before we get there. So I realize I have not yet tested this on pedal assist 0, which of course means that I'm basically just pedaling a bicycle that, well, is a little bit heavier than your average pedal bike. And I would say with the very low first, it certainly takes off just fine. Climbing a little bit of a hill here, second gear. I mean, especially after a bit of a day of riding, we got 21.8 miles on right now. And the off-roading and stuff. My out of shape legs are a little bit tired, but I mean I could certainly pedal this, I think, if I had to. So 29.5 miles total, which means 28.4 miles, 56% supposedly on the battery meter. And I mean, I don't know if I would have been able to double this, meaning almost 60 miles. I would have to venture to say that I probably could have gotten at least 50, I would assume, no problem. Obviously, a little bit hard to tell. They are sort of known to be a bit inaccurate, but I would say that with these batteries, there really should be no issue with doing a lot of riding in a day. Having all of that capacity is definitely nice. Having the ability to remove this battery, though, I think is even nicer. Reason being, of course, that it really lightens the bike up for a day of riding just off-road, and I think you would notice some nice gains if you did that. But even just as is with this on here, man, I mean, this is just an awesome bike to ride. I mean, I think maybe my back and my butt would be feeling a little bit better if there were some rear suspension, but honestly, I mean, that kind of helps keep it light. Definitely sort of shores things up in the back so you don't have it sort of chattering around back there. And honestly, I think a hardtail can be a lot better than a soft tail that's not really meant to do any intense off-road riding, of course, if that's what you're looking at. And if you're not looking to do any intense off-road riding, or you're not looking for a e-mountain bike, honestly, I don't know that this is really going to be the right choice, because it really just does feel, like I've said this whole time, like a mountain bike with some electric assistance, again, to make up for the added weight from the frame and the batteries and everything, but also definitely to help you climb up the hills and stuff. Sure, you're still going to have to put in some effort, but even on that steepest hill, I could still tell that I was not maxing out the motor. It was still helping. It wasn't carrying me up the hill by any means, but it was certainly assisting me. In fact, I believe I actually have tried to climb up that very hill with my just regular old Diamondback bike, and there's no way that I could make it up, at least not without a heck of a running start. So as much as this is not a super high quality top of the line e-bike, it's definitely a pretty darn good e-mountain bike. As much as I want to say that the seat is not the most comfy thing that I've sat on, I think for a mountain bike seat, I think this is about as comfy as I've ever sat on. Anyways, I really liked it. The 8 speeds in the back is great. The protection for the chain ring, the tires work great. The suspension felt good. I think honestly, the only thing that I can actually complain about, other than the fact that it would be nice if it had a little bit more wheelie power, would be the fact that the dash is, as nice as it is, a little bit hard to see in bright, broad daylight. Most of the time I could see it just fine. When the sun was sort of directly overhead beating down on it, there was enough of a glare that it really was pretty hard to see, even without my polarized glasses. With the polarized glasses, you basically cannot see it at all, which is sort of annoying, but of course you could just get a different pair of glasses if that bothers you. It's not like you really need to be staring at that when you're riding anyways. The brakes got a little bit noisy. It seems like maybe they've bedded in now and are a bit quieter. Other than that, I don't really see anything to complain about. I like this bike. If you guys want to pick one up, there'll be links down in the description. If you want to check out any of the gear that I've been wearing and help out the channel, there'll be affiliate links down there too. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it definitely helps me to continue making videos like this for you guys, and I definitely appreciate that because I sure do love it. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care, stay safe, stay swanky, get out and enjoy this beautiful world for yourself, no matter what type of bike you've got. It's beautiful out there, and we've only got so many days on this planet, so please get out there and enjoy it. Thanks for watching.